Okay, just going to give it a few minutes here. See if anyone decides to come join us. I know I communicated with several folks via email the last few days, reference joining the Unexplained Investigators. We are really have a lot of opportunities in the North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia areas as far as investigations. We've had a lot of interest in the team of late. There's a little bit of a lull, as there always is, from the spring of the year through the summer. People are on vacation, doing things, having a good time. And they don't necessarily need TUI or want TUI coming out to their places. We do have a lot of summer investigations, but not anything near we have going into September, October, and November. Then it'll die off again this time, going into the November, Thanksgiving through Christmas, and then it'll pick back up January, February, March. So a little bit about TUI. TUI initially started way back in really the concept in the late 80s, probably 88 or 89, when I was a teenager, coming straight out of my EMT training in the state of Virginia. Once I was back in North Carolina, had a few different things that I went out and tried to do, not paranormal related. But end result, my career in emergency services, law enforcement, and corporate investigations is really what helped define and design the current Unexplained Investigators. Most of the team will probably tell you that, or at least would hope to tell you, that we do things a lot differently than most teams. We're not going to be out running and chasing things. We're not going to be, not that I'm saying it's wrong. Each individual, each person has their own belief concept. We do not do those things. We have a very structured program. We do have a training course. Nothing complicated. It's very simple. We like bringing folks in with experience and without experience. We like having the skeptic as well as the true believer, whether it doesn't matter what it is. Sasquatch, ghost, supernatural, UFO, whatever there is out there unexplained, we want to take a look at it. And for a couple of reasons. I'm an answer seeker, so I'm always looking for answers. And that's what really got me going years ago. Most people think it had something to do with supernatural, paranormal, an experience. Not really. I'm like anybody else. I've had many experiences that I can't explain as an adult, as well as a teenager, juvenile, and child. Things that make zero sense. And looking back on those things, I can't explain them to this day. And it did lead me in the direction of unexplained investigations. But I've always been and wanted to be clear that when we go do that investigation, we're seeking the who, what, when, where, why, and how, because we can attempt to answer, if not answer, the event or events, whatever it may be. I like to tell folks that I can say most of it. I'm going to toss out a percentage, and most of the paranormal teams out there, if you talk to them in groups, they're going to tell you that the bulk of what they do, residential-wise, it's typically nothing. It's typically the home, pipes, lighting, things like that, HVAC. There's typically a reasonable explanation for what's occurring. Though now there are the ones out there that there is no explanation. I'll leave it, it's in our world, it's unexplained. If we can't answer the who, what, when, where, why, and how, unless we get something tangible that we could express in a different venue. But so that's what we look for. And I'm always cautious to tell folks, if you think you're going to come into the group and we're going to go to these places and everything we go to, there's going to be a haunt, there's going to be a UFO, a Sasquatch. It doesn't matter what we're doing. That's not always going to happen. You're not going to have something every time. Now, you're going to have a lot of stories that these people tell you, and a lot that you need to verify, and that, my friends, makes this exciting, because they're going to tell you stories, and you're going to be standing there thinking, "There's no way that that could happen. There's no way that that took place." And as we begin our investigation, we quickly find that a lot of what they tell us is true, that they've experienced that. We just need to figure out, or try to determine, how they experienced it, if we can recreate it, or if it recreates itself, and what we need to do from there. So I encourage you, for your as you come in live on the chat room here, send me a chat. I will be more than happy to answer any questions. You can always email me direct through TUI, and we'll try to get to your questions. But I really just wanted to introduce myself and the concepts of the Unexplained Investigators. And I can really ramble on for a long time, but if you take anything away from this little short broadcast, is that we're here to help people, and we don't charge anything. We don't charge anything for investigations. We do ask that we're able to publish some things, whether whatever venue that happens to be, social media, TV, whatever venue is out there, and we have the contracts and things in place to allow our clients to make that decision. And they may very well tell us no, that happens. And if that's the case, that's fine. The main reason that we publish things is to keep the interest going and keep people contacting us and saying, "Hey, I had a similar experience," and maybe they'll learn something from the experiences that we provide to folks. So really, the whole doing a release of the findings or the investigation is, one, to help the client we're working with, but also, like I said, to help others and to encourage others to come forward. Now, there's something I've always said, and I tell people, and this is often overlooked, and I don't know of a better way to explain it. If you become, or you go into the paranormal field on whatever level, if you join an organization like ours, you decide to be a solo act, or you decide to work in concert at times with someone else, always remember, if you're in someone's home, one, you're a visitor, so act appropriately. Two, you can consider yourself a guest, but I've always looked at it like, you are the plumber, you are the HVAC guy, you are the roof guy, you're the IT guy, the cable guy, however you want to look at it. And when you go into their home, they expect you to respect their areas, respect their property, and respect the rule of law, whatever that, and common courtesy, whether that's the language you use, smoking, not smoking, drinking, not drinking. I don't encourage any of that during investigations. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. If they're religious, they're more than likely going to expect you to abide by that protocol to some degree. So just keep that in mind. And the one biggest one that I can never seem to get sunk into people's brains is when you're out doing these investigations and you're at someone's home. Careful what you say. Careful what you do. In our case, we encourage having the clients involved in the investigation for multiple different reasons. First, pretty simple. If something is occurring, and it is supernatural, paranormal, whatever it happens to be, and this interaction is occurring with the client and this entity, why would you take away a piece that's already active and try to insert yourself to become the active role? That makes little to no sense to me. So the client would typically stay because I see people using trigger items all over television. I got a trigger item. I'm going to put this period piece here. I'm going to talk period talk, which I do the same thing. I don't necessarily use trigger items, but I will use or attempt to use period conversation. You have a trigger item that's contacts you, that's explained to you exactly what it does or is doing when these things occur. So I just encourage you to stop discounting the person you're believing that got you to the investigation, and relying on you to be the superior person that's going to somehow miraculously always pull these entities in to communicate with you. I say that to get to this. When they're involved, they're going to see and notice things. So always be clear and concise. Clear that when that door opened, it's when the HVAC came on, or when the faucet turned on. Just prior to that, you heard, or someone downstairs or upstairs turned on a spigot. We maybe heard some pipe rattling. And so either O2 in the water lines and or pressurization on an older faucet caused that faucet to come on. If you're having hot and cold spots, let's be, example, I had a home that the intake for the circulation of the in-home air was directly beside the front door. And the family enjoyed leaving the front door open, even with the HVAC on. And they claimed of cold spots. And so one of the first things I did, without speaking with the homeowner of it, I just want to have an example, is I closed the front door without really talking to anybody. And immediately the homeowner and others, we have a cold spot. Well, the cold spots were in areas of vents. So what had happened, what was occurring, is as this HVAC drew air into the system, it was really drawing it from outside. So it wasn't able to cool the air like it should. And so the house would be circulating that. And then when you shut the door, the home then begins to cool the air it's circulating on the inside. So it's cooled air that's bringing back through the cool again. So naturally your cycle of air is going to become cooler as it comes out the vents. And this was the exposure that they were having to cold spots throughout the house. So you want to be clear and explain that. If you are not familiar with home remodeling, plumbing, things like that, and you don't have to be a master at any of it. You just got to have a general knowledge. And there may be something occur that you can't answer, but you need to have the resources that you can contact that can answer that for you. So if you know a plumber, or a roofer, or a framer, somebody, I'm just throwing out things, they're masons, the different things you may run into, HVAC folks. You want to keep those connections, those contacts, if at all, as viable as possible. That way, if you run into something you can't explain, you can contact them, give them the scenario, and they may, and a lot of times probably can give you an answer. But back to my point. So as this homeowner is involved or not involved, you just go back and you show them video and give them your synopsis, whether it be all factual, opinion, whatever happens to be, you provide that to that person. Just remember, you're there from 5, 6, 7 in the afternoon, evening, early evening hours to way early morning, late morning, anywhere from 3 to 8 a.m., sometimes longer than that. When you leave that property and you leave them with that information, you go home. They're the ones that have to lay their head down in that house on that pillow and go to sleep every night. That's a lot of responsibility. And that's a lot of responsibility that you take on. And it doesn't matter if there's 10 people on your team, 2 people on your team. If you're man number 9 and you say something to somebody, you own it. An example that I have is I had some folks visiting a tenant investigation, and I was immediately contacted by other my current team members, that this person was going back to the property owners and saying that the house is demon possessed and they need to move immediately. Well, no, we don't do that. And no, there was nothing there like that. And these individuals were thrill seekers, and that happens. You have folks that are thrill seekers, and I tell folks, look, if you're interested in the paranormal, you don't know it's what you want to do, you just want to test it, check it out, see if it interests you or not, or you just want to get it out of your system. I will take folks on investigations. I will take you on residential investigations with the knowledge of the property owner. And I will take you to places that I know for a fact are haunted. So you get that experience and you can make that decision. Otherwise, go to Haunted Trail. Lake Hickory Haunts here in right outside of Hickory, North Carolina. Fantastic place. I'm there every year, the whole season. Not every night. I try to be every night that they're open. But our team is. Absolutely fantastic place. Thousands of people come from all over the country to go to this haunted trail. And you get your fix. You get your haunted trail fix. So if that's what you're looking for, go to those. Remember, this is a lot of responsibility. And you're there to help somebody. You're not there to help yourself. A lot of these paranormal folks, ghost hunters, things like that, Sasquatch, UFO, really that's what they're there for. They're really there to help themselves, and that's my biggest goal over the years that I've had is please, do this to be helping someone else. Will you gain knowledge from it? Will you gather information from it that's going to assist you in some way in the future? Yes, you will. But remember that you're there for them. You're not there for you. A great example is just watch the TV shows. Those folks are there for themselves. They're not there to help the client. And you really begin to see where things go awry and untruths come to play. And some of that is theatrics for television, and some of it is made up, blah, blah, blah. I ain't gonna say which shows I think is or isn't. That's each person's personal opinion. I can tell you this, I was emergency services, law enforcement, and the private sector and investigations. And I've done thousands of hours, hundreds of thousands of hours of video review. And I'm a video expert. At one point, I was a CCTV expert for 3 different organizations, large organizations, big box retailers, and know the ins and outs of this stuff, the technologies. And it's been around it from the early 90s through, just recent as 2013. I mean, I still deal with surveillance in some capacity, but not to that corporate level that I did in selecting video surveillance equipment and data collection, whether it be because we moved from the good old VCRs and time lapse to the digital to the video and hard drive, and then the digital time lapse and all this good stuff. It's very difficult to get over for someone to get over with me on television or video. Very difficult for someone to get over on me on that. I may have to look at it a couple times, but I've done many years behind in front of the VCR and the television screen, then to the DVD, or back, at one point it's basically just a hard drive, from the computer now to the DVRs and so forth and so on. So it's very difficult to get over on me. And I watch these shows, and it's great. It makes for great television, and some folks are going to, just what it is, it happened in their mind, no matter what you say or do. But when I watch it, I immediately see that's a problem. That did not occur. So you're telling an untruth. So why am I going to believe anything else you produce? Anything else you show me on television? Why am I going to believe that's the truth when I blatantly saw this? It's a blatant lie, and I clearly saw it. Very disappointing. So just always focus on. Our team is always focusing on helping the person, understanding that we're going to leave. They're going to be there for however long they have live in that property, whether it be rental or they own it. They're going to be there. And then always being honest and being as clear and concise as possible. That way there's no confusion on what took place. There's no confusion on what you're saying. to the client, and the team being together on the information. You want to be as detailed and to be as close to one another as you can with the information. Sorry, I was moving my mic. And that, brings me to the data part. It brings me to the whole investigation. I don't know what teams use. I see all these forms out there. I see long forms. I see short forms. I see no forms. I see binders. It's great if you have the equipment that you're collecting that amount of data. That's fantastic. And when I speak about equipment, I'm not talking about the K2 meters and audio recorders and camcorders and photography. I'm talking about actual measurable instruments, barometers, things like that, scientific collection instruments or data instruments used for scientific collection during theories, testing the theories. So if you have that kind of equipment and you're able to collect binders worth of information, that's fantastic. More power to you. So in our case, we use short forms. I call them field forms, and it measures anything that would affect our standard equipment for what we do. We also measure the environmental process activities inside of the home, business, whatever it happens to be, as well as the outside. That way we can see what our temperatures are looking like. We can see what our barometer, humidity, things like that are doing. Because as the day cools and heats, as everyone knows, it affects buildings. As the pressure changes, that affects buildings and people as well. So we do measure that, and we collect that data, and we're able to go back and look at it and see what's different. Example being somebody says, "Hey, I heard a noise," and we go listen to that noise, and we know it's in this part of the property. Then we're able to look at our environmental effects, whether it be inside the property or outside, and or both, and see if anything changed. And that's, it's critical. And our investigations are broke up into many investigations where we go for the one investigation, and then we assign each area. It's broken down into a zone, and then a team is assigned to each zone, and they go into that zone. Sometimes it's simultaneously, sometimes it's one zone at a time. It just depends on when we do our initial walkthrough, what our takeaway is from the opportunity to be able to do that many, have certain amount of folks doing certain amount of things on the property without affecting one another. Again, we don't say this. I just throwing it out there. A lot of teams say they're going to scientifically prove something. It'd be nice to be able to say that. I don't. There's no. I don't pretend that I'm going to scientifically prove anything. I know how to. I know how the process to be used. But we're going into environments that we have very little control over to attempt to scientifically prove something, if that's what you're saying you're doing. I use, and it can be used for a scientific method process, but the who, what, when, where, why, and how. And we do use the scale, the scientific side of it, and we married it to. But our main goal is who, what, when, where, why, and how. And then we'll bring the scientific method into play and see where they marry, if they marry, and see if they help one another. So we do both in the field as we're doing investigation, but our primary is what I had already told you, because that's simple. We're not measuring any, we're not trying to scientifically prove anything, but we're trying to say that, you know what? We've asked the good questions. We've asked the hard questions, and we can't get you an answer. So it's unexplained. Now, benefit to that is maybe we've been able to use some scientific method issue or methodology, some of the questions from the scientific method, and Again, it doesn't answer anything. Well, that just takes us to the next step. And it says, hey, look, we've done both. We may not have been able to do it on a scientific method 100%, but we've got to this point. We got as far as we could go with it. And maybe during that investigation, we do develop a theory of what's taking place. And we can then take the scientific method and put it into play and test that theory and look for the answer. Oftentimes, you're not going to get it just simply because, or you're not going to get one that's viable because we're unable to control the environment 100%. So that's why it's critical to have the forms, the short forms, and documenting everything that's taking place, because that's what's going to give you the ability to go back and look at it and say, in the investigation, maybe we can do a scientific method attempt if you have the equipment with you. So, something may occur that you can't. There's no way to measure it. There's no way to look at it. You may want to do the scientific method, but you just don't have the time, means, things like that. So it can become frustrating. Now, that's the boring part. I probably shouldn't start off with the boring part, but that's the boring part of the paranormal world. Now, with TUI, I'll be honest with you, I am high-strung at times. I can get overly excited and be like, "Hey, man, we got to get on that. Why in the world did you not do this?" I'll be honest with you. You'll hear me yelling about something when there's nobody around, and you're like, "What's got him so angry?" And you are upset. I hope I don't project anger, but I'll be upset. I'll be animated. And they'll come over and be looking at me, and I'm like, I just stood here. This was occurring, and I didn't hit record. And so more often than not, I'm yelling at myself because what an idiot. I've got so caught up in what I was doing, and it was, things are going great. We're having activity. There's no explanation for it. There's something there. There's actually a full body apparition right in front of you, and you cannot get it. Or you forget to get it, and then you realize as it fades away, oh, that's great. I didn't hit record. Or I did not take a photograph, or I didn't do my series of photographs. Because in our case, you got to have 3 to 5 photographs in a consistency there without movement for me to even qualify anything in a picture as unexplained, or hey, that is something's there. We got to figure that out. If you take one picture and you show me something, and that's the only picture you took, I could care less. That doesn't help me out because I don't know. I can't prove why that occurred or didn't occur. I can't. Anybody can say, well, somebody blew cigarette smoke out. It was raining outside. The humidity was high, and your fog on your screen, on your lens. So many things can come into play. So that's why I get frustrated, because these are things that I know for a fact. I try to put a roadblock everywhere we can. So when we are able to provide our information and somebody says, lens flare. Well, I'm not going to be lens flare because three different cameras, 2 different cameras, 3 different directions, 2 different directions. Bam, we all got the same thing. All these cameras got the same thing. So something was there. So we try our best to put as much in there as we can. And there's a lot of techniques that, being able to try to talk to potential newcomers, it's difficult to do with all the ins and outs. You really got to go through our training program. And we'll be doing one live stream this year, starting this coming Tuesday. The first session it's for 5 weeks, 1 hour, every Tuesday for 5 weeks, and we're all going into what we do as the Unexplained Investigators. It's going to come close, and some things will match what other folks do, but you're going to see that it's really a total different concept than what's out there, and that's one of the reasons we get as much stuff as we do, is because of what we do and how we do it and the consistency of it. It's just, we're to the point now, we need to be a little extra help, a little extra breath there. As many of you may or may not know, I was diagnosed in February with stage 4 colon cancer and given a year to live. Initially, I really haven't asked where that is today. I'm thinking longer than that, but that's what I've had to face since February. And initially, I was like, we're done. I just, too much on my plate. I'm not even going to do the investigations anymore. I'm just done. And then about 5 months in, well, sorry, 4 months into it, I realized, I've got to keep living. It's rough. The chemo sucks. I tell people I end up with about 3 to 6 good days a month. Everything else is just shit. Excuse my language. Life just sucks. I happen to be on kind of the way it's scheduled out. I happen to be on one of my good days where I've been out of chemo for almost 2 weeks and about ready to go into chemo, which will put me down again for 2 weeks. And then I'll have a good day or two. So I was really to the point where I'm just done. And then I realized, I just can't be, I got to keep going and keep doing things. My full-time employer thought I needed a break, so I don't do that. So now I'm resting and building energy and going through each one of my chemos. And then when I do feel good for the day or two, or a couple hours, whatever it may happen to be, I try to get out and do things and do. And I say that to say, as with the team, we are moving. It's time to transition to the next crew, the next individuals that are going to carry the investigations forward, if that's what they choose. If we can find somebody willing and wishing to do that. We have seasoned folks on the team who are there and ready for it, but they need a good, solid support crew that can come in and do what these guys do. And as a team, collectively, it works great. It's not a competition. Some folks try to make it a competition. It's, I don't see it. I see that always as a failure. When you go in as a team. You go in to work this together. And you may have a concept, you may have a thought that this is happening for this reason, or I feel something, and this is why I think it's legitimate. It's not for me to say that's not true. It's not for me to say you're not experiencing that. It's critical that we document it. It's critical that it's put on paper, because we may go back and look at something. There may be 4 things happening that we don't know about, and we go back and it makes perfect sense now that what you were feeling or what was happening in that moment is related to this, and it proves something for us. So that's being willing to be a team member and understand that you may not feel it, you may not understand what they're saying, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. You're not that person. Some folks tell lies. That's one of the reasons I love having the camcorders on investigations. Years ago, I didn't have that all the time. Now we do. And, we go back and play video, and we've had team members that we've dismissed where I'm having this is happening. The K2 meter is going off. I'm just going nuts over here. It's crazy. Man, the videographer behind you, unfortunately, he was recording. And your instruments were doing nothing. You were animated, you were excited, but your equipment did nothing at all. So you're lying. And unfortunately, and I'm not ugly about it by any means, but whether you've made some kind of some error there, I don't see any way of explaining it away, but we just need to part ways. You can go have your own crew, join another team, whatever you want to do, and go do those things. It's not going to happen here, because we work on integrity, truth, and honest to our clients and to the people we talk to. So yeah, you can quickly lose your opportunities with the unexplained investigators by doing that. Well, may start wrapping up here. Just want to kind of look at a few things before I jump off to make sure I'm not missing anything. We are obviously, you can probably see the green screen behind me. This is where we do the YouTube show. It's where we've done some of our previous videos, TV stuff. But this is our makeshift studio. It's not the best in the world. It does, we do what we can with it. But it would be nice in my world to be able to see not only the team itself move forward operationally and sound without me, but for some of the things, the radio show, I've really kind of flushed that and lean more towards the TV show, or the YouTube show, where we just kind of put it together, do our editing, production, get it out there, and let people see and work off and view it and things like that. It's a lot simpler at the end of the day than the radio show. The radio show is just, there's not limited content, limited opportunities, blah blah blah. Doing our own TV or on show, we're able to do our thing, do our editing, put it together where we need it, and to get the information we want out there. So, if you happen to come across this and you do want to, you listen to everything and you do want to be part of the TUI team, the Unexplained Investigators, man, I welcome you. Anybody. We have no. I'm telling you right now, I have been, not currently probably, but I have been one of the most diverse teams that I've ever seen. And we go out we have skeptics who go with us on investigations, who stand there and say they're okay. The door slammed shut. A cricket did that. There's no other explanation. So it had to be a cricket, or it had to be a spider, something, insect or rodent went underneath the door and slammed it, at 75 pounds of pressure. So we do have the skeptic out. There's no arguments, and I don't want to push that, put it out there. There's no arguments when we're out there in the field and things like that. Everybody on our team, everybody respects everybody's opinion or thoughts, or as we talk it out, and it's a lot of fun. And time goes quickly; you don't realize it. Most folks think that they're going to be scared when they go out, that something's going to spook them and they're going to be scared and everybody's going to make fun of them. The way our program is set up, and it comes from my background in emergency services, law enforcement, things like that. You're trained, and you do. We train on what we're going to, this is happening. We're writing this down. We're photographing this. We're videoing this. We're doing this. We're doing this. Quite literally, when you're in it, you are doing your job, your task, and you're so focused on it. The activity that you're making sure you put into play, but that you're documenting, becomes second to what your job is. And when it's over, you're like, oh, that would have scared me. That should have scared me. I wasn't scared. I didn't panic. Well, you don't panic because you went through the training. You're now doing your job, and your job is, I'm going to document this. Whatever that person's passion is. I want to be a videographer. I want to be a photographer. I want to be a documenter. I want to be a safety person. Whatever your role is you want on the team, and that you fit. Once you're through the training process, which is relatively quick. I mean, people think it's a long process. It's not. It's quick, simple. When you're in that, you're so busy doing your thing. People look at paramedics and firemen and policemen and they think, oh my God, look at that. look at them guys go and women go. They don't fear nothing. They're doing their job, and nothing's scaring them. Well, that's the point. They're doing their job. They're doing what they're trained to do, and that's their focus. Their focus isn't your arm dangling in 7 different places. Their focus is you, taking care of you, the care of you. And if you begin of the video, I talked a little bit about we're here for the client. We're here to help them. We're not here for us. If you are, it's not going to work out. You're there to help that client. And when you begin that process, you'll see what I'm talking about. You're there helping them, and the things that you think would scare, and it would probably scare most people, you don't find it doesn't scare you. You don't have a problem with it. Well, haven't seen any comments come across. I hope this is helpful. I know it's going to be somewhat boring, just me rambling about the team. We will be at Lake Hickory Haunts this season. So if this doesn't encourage you to sign up, if you get to watch it, come visit us. Talk to us one-on-one. We'll have more team members out there. And again, we have a diverse group of individuals. So, 18, 80, male, female, gender, sexual orientation, psychic, not psychic, smart, not smart, personality, no personality. Do try to avoid hateful people, mean people. I do try to avoid them. But pretty much, I have no issues with anybody. If you're interested in this field and you want to learn it and you want to help people, we're open. I'll take anybody, as long as you're willing to cooperate with the team, work as a team. I kind of look at it. Again, most of my employment, I've had to work as a team. It's kind of like the military. You join it. We don't have that structure by any means. We're not yelling, screaming, doing push-ups and combat and that other stuff. But team effort, working as one, that's what makes this essential. And investigations where we go out and do that, it is absolutely phenomenal what you walk away with. And as an individual, you get to walk away with, I helped that family, or I helped that business. But I also got to see Michael Jackson. Not that that's happened. I'm just saying, Michael Jackson, Robin Williams, my great aunt, my grandfather, whatever happens, whatever happens, whatever it takes place, you find it amazing. Everybody's claimed to see this UFO. We've been there 100 times, never seen a UFO. We'll go this one time. Dude, what is that? I have no idea. But you get on camera. I got on video. We got on the regular camera. Let's look at it. Dude, I have no idea what that is. And then you're left with whatever you want to believe. That was a UFO, or is just a fluke that tricked your eyes, your mind, tricked the video camera and the camera, along with 5 other team members or 10 other team members, whatever happens to be there. It makes for fun. You're helping people, but on the same token, you have those moments where you have all this information, but can't tell you what it is. I'm confident what I think it is, but I can't prove it, so I'm not going to tell people that's what it is. And as a team, we may all agree that, we just that was General Lee, and he departed some words of wisdom to us. But if we don't have the information that's going to make it factual, we'll never present that to the public. Amongst ourselves, we know it, we believe it, we stick with it, but we're not going to present it to the public. Okay, well, I'm going to wrap this up. We're easy to find. the Unexplained Investigators on Facebook. Most of you, if you're here and you're seeing this, whether it's live or in the future, you've already came across the basics. Reach out to us, whether it be myself or another team member. We'll hopefully get with you in a few days. Sometimes it takes some time, especially right now with what I'm going through medically, and other team members, things like that. Things are going on. Sometimes it takes us a while. So bear with us, push us, pester us, whatever, whatever. It's not going to make me angry. It's not going to make the team members angry. We need to help. When we're in the field, we need to help. We're running low. We are running dry with people with full-time jobs and working and not having time to come do things. And that happens where, folks they can't make it for family purposes, medical purposes, work purposes, things like that. And, if we only get one call or two calls a month, that's one thing. But, when you've got so much weighing out there that you want to go help people with, it just becomes a little overwhelming because you don't have enough help to go take care of it. But hopefully we won't have that problem in the near future. And so I look forward to meeting you guys. I look forward to some new blood in the TUI family as I make a decision on my transitioning from this being my organization to being a group organization, and somebody else, a group of individuals taking the helm and continue the flagship and moving it forward. And hopefully we'll be able to do that in the next 6 months to a year, and then I can be the oddball. I can be the guy that shows up that you guys have to push around and tell what to do and shut up. Which I'm good with that. Been there, done that. Never had a problem with it back in the day. Won't now. All right. Until I meet you guys, hope everyone has a good remainder of the weekend. And look forward to seeing you guys in the field. And if not in the field, at places like Lake Erie Haunts or other spooky haunted places in the U.S.